I get everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take attendance, George.
Pam Laporte.
Here.
Carl Cowan.
Here.
Heather Alden.
Here.
Dana Booker.
Here.
Aaron Yeager.
Here. I would like to remind everyone that this meeting is audio and video recorded.
The Northbridge Public Schools is a proud community focused on the education and well-being of all students. We recognize each student as an individual, and we provide creative and innovative learning opportunities that encourage them to use their unique voices and personal strengths to achieve success both academically and personally.
Thank you. Before we begin tonight, I would just like to welcome our newest member, Erin Meager, to the committee. Welcome aboard. So we do have appointments in subcommittees, but we have held off on several subcommittees for our fifth member who has now joined us. But we do have this on discussion for later, and so we'll table that for now because we have those for discussion and action. One which we will also discuss and table for future discussions. So next is the superintendent's report.
Yep. So our summer programs are in full swing. It's hard to believe we're already halfway through the summer. Middle school currently has 12 students in their summer school program. The high school started with 34 students participating, and 10 have finished already. They're using Apex Online, so there's 24 students left to go. Most of them are on track to finish. Our ESY program is also in full swing. That's being hosted at NES, and we have approximately 95 students there from PK to postgrad, and that includes 9 students that just drop in for related services like speech or OT or PT. Our leadership team has also been very busy. We had our second kind of 3-hour leadership meeting of the summer this morning. We've been working on, obviously, handbooks, updating our discipline matrices, working on our DCAPs and BCAPs for the upcoming school year, a staff reference manual. We talked about how we can better serve our special ed population. Angie did a little presentation for the LT today around some of the initial feedback from our special ed audit review, and some of the things that we would be looking to address this year, and then starting to think about putting together a timeline for an action plan of how we're going to implement some of the other things, because there was a lot, and obviously it's going to take us some time to address everything. And it came at the end of the year, so hard to change everything all at once. We also updated our emergency protocols foldable document so that every teacher keeps that by their desk, and thank you, George, for that. We had it in digital format the last couple of years, but the teachers like the colored-coded foldable. So I tasked George with putting that together, and it's a little longer than it has been in the past, but he did a great job. So we went through that today. We also have 3 full-day trainings on July 28th, 29th, and 30th. When I say we, I mean the leadership team, all of the admins, building admins, and directors. And the July days are going to be focused on updating our strategic plan for year 3. Which we will present to the committee, and then working on creating effective home and school partnerships, which again was part of our strategic plan. We'll have our annual legal training. Jen King from Valerio and Dominello will be coming in to give us our annual legal training. They'll be training in leading effective co-teaching, and then some training on the new EdEval rubric. And then we have a second 3-day retreat, August 18th, 19th, and 20th. And our department chairs and team leaders will also be participating in part of that training as well. And that's going to focus again on the SPED programming that will be addressed this year, and developing high-performing collaborative teams that are focused on student learning, and then developing an action plan to implement the governor's new graduation requirements. So we have a very busy summer as an LT. Something you probably already heard was around the governor's supplemental budget and the additional $100 million in one-time grant funds that are going to be going out to Massachusetts schools, which will be approximately $112 per student. It's going to be different for every district because it's going to be based on the foundation Chapter 70 formula. But it'll be around $112 per student that we'll be getting additionally. But this is just a one-year thing. They call it like a pothole fund. And primarily she did it because so many districts were seeking overrides this year, and because they understand now that the Chapter 70 funding is not sufficient. And while we're waiting to have that revamped, this was a temporary solution to provide a little extra funding to the districts. So that will come straight to the schools. That will not go through the town, but it will come straight to the district. And we will be writing to our legislators because it's still in House Ways and Means right now. But all of our superintendents, we are going to be writing to our legislators, both House and Senate, just to make sure that those amounts are maintained, nothing changes, and that the funds do go directly to the school districts, because as you know, any increase in Chapter 70 in the past beyond what we think we're going to get in our budget ends up going to the town. But this will hopefully come directly to the schools, and then to make sure that we can maintain local discretion on how that is utilized. But it does have to be used by June 30. So, and then lastly, just a little note, read and feed around town. So NPS, Beginning Bridges, and the Social Library are sponsoring Read and Feed Around Town. It's running on Thursdays in July and August, and the next one is this coming Thursday at 9. That's at the Northbridge Fire Department. And either firefighter Trifoni or Jenga is going to be reading a book to the kids, and then they'll be able to explore the trucks and check out the fire station, try on gear, and then they'll be able to stay for a breakfast snack. But folks have to register for that, but the registration QR code is on the NES Facebook pages, so anybody interested can do that. The next one after this one will be July 30th at West End Creamery.
Anybody have any questions? I'll say I appreciate that the leadership team is focusing, because our focus for the override was to really hone in on special education, making sure that that money is, for at least the upcoming year, utilizing that funding to make sure the supports were put in place for that. So I appreciate that the team is really focusing on evaluating the needs, making sure that everything is put in place for the upcoming year, that the tools are being utilized in that fashion. I will say my feelings set aside for Governor Haley. It is, the irony is not lost on me that this infusion of cash this year in an election year is
quite a coincidence.
Quite a coincidence. I can say whatever I want. But where the entire state is hemorrhaging and failed overrides happened across the state in all communities. But I will not look a gift horse in the mouth, and we will happily take that money for this year.
Indeed.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we have the introduction to our new high school assistant principal.
Yes, so she's jumped in with both feet, and she's been very busy with Mr. Tracy, our new principal. So I'm going to just ask Marissa to come up to the dais and give the committee a little bit about your background and an opportunity to
Hi everyone.
ask questions.
I'm really happy to be here. I'm thankful to the Northbridge Public Schools for giving me the opportunity of my very first school-based leadership position. Although I've been a leader in many ways in education over 25 years, I'm very excited for this role. And I look forward to working alongside of and on behalf of the young people of Northbridge. Every kid in every school in every district deserves teachers who love them and see them and value them. And I'm really excited to be part of that work here. Part of my background?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's got a very extensive and interesting background.
Thank you. Well, most of my career has been as a high school English teacher, probably about 17 years. I've also been a humanities department head. I have served in districts that are similar to Northbridge, and also places, I've spent most of my career in the Boston Public Schools. One thing that I was really curious about when I was teaching in the Boston Public Schools is how teachers enter into, become situated, and come to know themselves as teachers. Because when I started teaching there, I had already been a teacher for almost 10 years, and everybody around me was sort of brand new because I was at a brand new school. So these questions kept coming to me, so I went to graduate school and studied teacher preparation. And I earned my doctorate at Boston College in teacher preparation. Well, it's actually in curriculum and instruction, but that was my focus. I was very fortunate to be able to do a case study and to become a trained researcher. And so I'm really interested in thinking about the ways that, I've only been here for 20 days, but I've been thinking a lot about our instructional, some of the conversations that came up today, about our instructional assistants and paras and how we can cultivate them to become educators, should that be something they want to do. This is the background that I am coming from. I've spent the most recent years as the director of teacher pipeline and MTEL programs for the Boston Public Schools. I was the director of 4 programs. I wrote and I was a co-writer but principal investigator and first author of a grant that won the district $6 million. And we began to build the teacher residency program for bilingual inclusive teachers in the district. So that program was about cultivating para educators in the district who are bilingual, to work with young people who look like them. And we saw a real need, and that also came up in the special ed report today, this kind of like over-identification sometimes, or under-identification of people with children whose first language is not English. Sometimes they get over-identified as having needing special services when they don't, or sometimes they actually do need them and they don't get properly, they get mislabeled. And because of there's a lack of training, even in a place like Boston Public Schools. So I am happy to bring that background into the work here, although I know my role will be different. I guess that's what I'm saying.
But we'll be very happy to take feedback and your
Yes.
expertise.
Yes, thank you. And I'm also happy to lean in with Mr. Tracy, who's already taught me so much, and Mr. Cron, my mentor. I'm very excited about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have questions? Comments?
It just sounds like you bring a really interesting voice to the table, so it's very excited. Welcome to Northbridge.
Thank you so much.
And our first female assistant principal at Northbridge High.
Nice.
Well, I didn't know that. I would have led with that one.
It's lovely that we now have a male-female dynamic at each of the schools, so it's exciting to have the leadership at all levels have that. So welcome aboard. We're excited to have you, and well, I'm sure we'll see you at some of the events that we have. So
Go Rams.
that's right. That's right. Next up is the consent agenda. So I'll do the warrants together. So first up is warrant 2650 from June 11th, 2026 in the amount of $157,040.78.
Motion to approve.
Yeah,
sorry.
sure.
That's all right. Warrant 2651, June 18th, 2026, in the amount of $179,666.99. Warrant 2652, June 25th, 2026, in the amount of $279,192.35. Warrant 2653, June 30th, 2026, in the amount of $266,779.28. Warrant 2654, June 30th, 2026, $160,808.12. And warrant 2655 from June 30th, 2026, in the amount of $93,963.89. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve all of the June warrants.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Aaron Meager,
Yes.
Ann Laporte,
Yes.
Dana Booker,
Yes.
Heather Alden,
Yes.
Yes.
Carl Callen. It is approved.
Next up is a donation from the residents of Northbridge. First, I just want to say thank you very much. They were able to, when they dissolved their public account, they donated their remainder of their funding to us, and it has been recommended that we accept this donation. If there's no objection or questions, can I get a motion to accept the donation?
Motion to accept the donation with gratitude.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Carl Callen,
Yes.
Ann Laporte,
Yes.
Heather Alden,
Yes.
Aaron Meager,
Yes.
Dana Booker.
Yes.
It is accepted.
And last, can I get a motion to approve the school committee meeting minutes from June 9th, 2026?
Motion to approve school committee meeting minutes from June 9th.
Second.
Carl Callen,
Yes.
Aaron Meager,
See?
Heather Alden,
Yes.
Ann Laporte,
Yes.
Dana Booker.
Yes.
It is approved.
Next up is discussion, the handbook.
Yep, so, sorry. In the world of my own over here. I can't see anything, so. Yes, so everybody got the summary sheet of the updates. So there weren't too many that were significant changes. The one thing that you may hear more about, however, will be the food policies and programs, and that's because the wellness committee, we have a new nurse leader, and she's formed a new wellness committee. I think you're on that committee, and they're working on the updating the wellness policy. So they were working with a group. Do you know what was the name of it?
I don't know. It was from Framingham State.
Yeah, they were working with a group from Framingham State that were assisting with that process. So there are some things that need to be updated. So I kind of put a pin in that. We did make a slight change that we did already include, and that's the drinks and drink containers, which we always had a policy of clear water bottles in the schools. It just wasn't being upheld. So we just kind of spelled that out in the handbook. It's in the wellness policy, but we spelled it out in the handbook as well, because we have had issues with non-clear water bottles, as you can imagine, many different issues, some disciplinary, some just messy, sticky drinks that are in bottles that spill and make a huge mess with the custodians. I think on the last day of school at the high school, I had to walk the wall down one hallway because there was red, sticky something all over the floor. But anyway, so that's probably the most major change. And again, between now and the August meeting, we may have a couple more adaptations to add to that. So I just wanted to note that. And then I did add to the parent volunteer section for the policy that we had just updated. And then also, just another note, the student support services, the physical restraint policies and procedures, we updated those last year based on the law, but there was a new amendment for the timeout and seclusion that we're currently working on, and we're going to have to create a policy for that. So we will add that to that section as soon as that policy passes. But other than that, nothing was really significant, just typical updates. And then you can see also each of the buildings had addendums, none of which were completely significant. Some things were revamped, reworded, tightened up a little bit, but if you do have any questions on any of the addendums, I did ask all of the principals to be here in the event if you wanted to ask them anything.
No, I mean, I read through them before. Nothing seemed significantly mind-blowing changes, but
I did just want to ask a question about the clear water bottle policy.
Mhm.
I'm sure all of our families are going to read all these pages. I will, I promise. But are there ways we're going to promote kind of, even though the policy's been in there, how we're going to promote out to families kind of how this will be implemented?
I'm glad you asked that question.
Oh, great.
Because we talked about that at our last leadership meeting, because we are going to have to remind people,
Yeah,
and not just in the
advertise it or
handbook,
something.
because it is long, I get it. But no, they'll get separate communication around that. So there'll be a couple things that we're going to send out separate communication, and I also don't want these guys to be the first ones to have to deal with it.
Right.
I want it to come from me. And we also talked about how we are going to purchase clear water bottles for students, so that at least that initial one, they have that. If they lose it thereafter, then we'll have parameters around what can replace it, or they can always use Bone Spring or whatever other kind of bottle they want.
That's great.
But yes, there will definitely be individual communication that goes out to parents about that. It'll be on the website. We'll have reminders, but I didn't want the first thing to have to.
And all the schools have water bottle refiller
We do.
stations.
Yeah, we got them after COVID.
Yeah.
So
Great.
yeah.
Thank you.
next up is the reorganization of the quota to the full-time OT position. Thank you.
Hello. So I don't know if you want to ask questions or you want me to just explain what our thinking is around this, but we had a transition in staffing. We did have the approval for the full-time quota, and we did have the one full-time OT. When both of these positions opened up, it gave us an opportunity to really look at the caseload and see what the needs were. And in doing that, it gave us some, start to think about where we were at with numbers and what the need was. And it did seem at this point it's justified to have that full-time, the two full-time OTs. And this was really driven by the number of evaluations and the direct case, like direct services. A CODA cannot evaluate a student. This past year, our OT had to do 74 evaluations for students, and that's a significant number. Just to put it in perspective, we had 132 evaluations for the SLPs, and we have 4 SLPs. So it was significant to the point where we were hiring consultants to support that level of need. So having the full-time quota is fantastic because it provides that direct services that we needed for students, but it didn't take off what we needed for the testing and the evaluation piece. And it also built in another responsibility for the OT of having to supervise the quota. So looking at it and being able to hire an OT at a little bit less than what we had. Last time it seemed like we might be able to justify, and Melissa can probably talk a little more about that if you have further questions.
You guys have questions? So I'm all for having an OT full-time. I wish we hadn't gotten rid of an OT previously. I personally felt that we should have kept that position several years ago. Because I always feel that specialized services in this district can be creatively used to, whether it's servicing regular ed population.
Correct.
And we can find a way that, you know, all of the services that are provided by OT, PT, speech, in my opinion, can be manifested in a regular ed classroom and can benefit all students. So even if a caseload happens to be slower in a time frame, it will always pick up.
Well, it opens up the opportunity if it is, you know, you do have a lagging need, you could look and utilize for tier 2 because it will bubble up. And I think what's important to note here is of those 74 evaluations, 48 48 of them were initial.
Mhm.
So we couldn't really plan for that. So bringing in 2 full-time OTs that would give us that opportunity that if we did have a lull and we didn't need that, then we can certainly find other ways to utilize them.
Absolutely. Not that I suspect
I
that any
don't.
time in the near future that will occur, but you're
Yeah.
absolutely right that an OT can evaluate and treat, so you're getting the most bang for your buck.
Yeah.
They don't have to utilize their time to also supervise the hours of the CODA. So, and I was a former CODA, so I love CODAs, but
Yes.
they don't have to slice their time.
Right.
They can just most effectively use their time for all services. So
Right.
I think it's
And it's still, even with the 2 full-time OTs, it's a good caseload. It's not.
I'm sure we could
It's not-
probably use 2 CODAs. I mean, 2 OTs and a CODA, but I
It's
will.
a great conversation for
That's
another
a
day.
different conversation. So yeah, I completely understand and agree with the direction that we have to move forward with.
And the best part is we're essentially flush budget-wise.
Yeah.
So I
Even
wanted
with-
to ask about that. Is it okay if I jump in here?
Yeah.
So if I'm reading this all correctly and understanding it correctly, the OT we hired was a little less than the one who just left, so there's a little bit of money there, and then the CODA money that was there, but then we're still pulling from another budget line to cover that?
If we
potentially?
needed to. So
Okay.
we would be able to hire on the teacher grid up to a certain step of experience.
Mhm.
And up until that step of experience, we would not exceed the budget line.
Okay.
It's only depending on who the best candidate is and who's qualified and who comes in and who we hire.
Mhm.
If they happen to be a more senior person, then it's a potential that they could go above the salary budgeted specifically in the OT line.
Yep.
And then we would look to some other salary lines that currently have surpluses in them.
Okay.
Because other positions have been hired thus far this year more at a beginner or entry level.
Sure.
And so there has been some funding that's been freed up in other salary
That can
lines. So it's
move
all
around.
within the salary line,
Yep.
but we may not even need to tap into another salary line.
You
It
won't
may
know
all
until
stay
you
within the
hire
OT depending on the
the
experience.
person. And would any of that, if you did have to pull from the other line, be one-time money that we would have to worry about in future years? Then
So we
covering
would
that?
we would have to then next year, when we're building the budget, build the appropriate salaries for all of the staff.
Mhm.
But if it came from savings within the salary line because we hired a current individual at a lower starting salary,
Mhm.
that savings also is carrying
Will
over
carry
when
over.
we're building
That
the
makes
next
sense.
year.
I just want to make sure if we're going for this, it's a long-term investment that we're able to make, because
Mhm.
obviously we need that stability in these
Mhm.
positions.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Next up is the high school ASL course.
Yeah, so I know we had talked about the American Sign Language, adding that to the program of studies, but at the time we didn't have the final cost of it. It is an online instructor model, and the teacher is actually a deaf teacher that teaches the class online with the students. But this is just essentially to share what the first semester cost is going to be, because we hadn't identified that in the budget previously because we didn't know at the time. But this is a course that the students wanted, that they reflected that they wanted in the student survey. And it'll also be an elective that will count for world language, or it can count for an elective, just a basic elective. And hopefully it goes well and we can follow up with ASL too, so that they can get their, years for Mass Core if that's what they so choose to do. But it'll also count for the education pathway. So,
Any questions or comments?
I just wanted to ask a question about the online course offerings. So can you just give me just like a brief understanding of like what we do offer online and how those are received and like the success rates of students in online courses?
so we offer VHS
Okay.
courses, which pretty much they can take anything on VHS. I mean, they have soup to nuts classes. They can take German. They can take, literature, legacies of Massachusetts, ghost stories of Massachusetts. I mean, there's so many different things that they can take, as long as, but guidance looks at it to make sure that it falls into the categories of Mass Core and that it's applicable for them, so that it can count for credit. But there's I would say well over 100 courses that they can choose from. And those are taken in this library on these computers, and the library clerk oversees those kids while they're taking, while they're doing their BHS class, and it's just like going to any other class that they would go to. This is a little bit different.
Okay.
Because these kids will be in a classroom, and there will be an adult in there, probably a para, and the teacher will be teaching them on the computer, interacting with them on the computer, but there will be somebody overseeing to make sure that they're all doing what they're supposed to be doing, but they'll all be learning together with the teacher.
That's cool.
Online. Yeah.
Does the teacher see them? Now I'm just getting into the logistics of it, but
I imagine so. I don't know what the platform is. They haven't
very
given us the name of the
interesting.
platform yet, but Tiago's going to be working with them on
great.
whatever it is that they use. I don't know if it's some kind of like Google Classroom. I don't think it's not Google Classroom, but I'm not sure what the platform is. But I've already directed them to Tiago to.
it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see how it works.
Yeah, exactly. Try it out.
They've only been in business for not very long, just like 2 or 3 years. It's a new business, but they've already got a lot of clients. And Kevin McIntyre, who was the superintendent in Milford that recently retired, has been working with that company.
Great.
And that's actually how I heard about them in particular. And I met the owner at a conference. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity. And if it doesn't work out, there are other companies that offer similar services. We just have to kind of weigh out what the cost impact would be. But we'll give it a go this year.
Yeah.
The kids are really excited about it.
Yeah, it's
So,
a great opportunity for them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Next up is the school committee goals for 26-27. So I was just reviewing them and kind of wanted to revisit them. So just to recap what they were, it was to strengthen community trust and communication, increase community visibility and engagement, and enhance two-way communication with parents and community. So when I was like looking at these, I was thinking about my own personal work evaluation and how we evaluated ourselves last year, and that our goals need to be looked at to be measurable, and that's how we really need to evaluate ourselves at the end of the year. So last year with the goal 1, we specifically used this as a means to communicate budget and transparency and override implications. So the chairs of the school committee, the board of selectmen, and the FinCom had frequent meetings to have open lines of communication, and we had monthly meetings in front of the board of selectmen and finance committee, Amy and I, so kind of discussed alternatives to this. So she's gonna kind of think about revisiting. She used to do town halls where she just did like
State of the schools.
yeah, like a state of the address, but she did meetings, so updates. So that will continue, like the transparency piece. I'll continue offering meetings with the chairs, but I kind of wanted to discuss with you guys how we will make this goal more measurable and how we continue to foster communication. So if we can maybe spitball some ideas via email, to be able to create evidence for the community how this is measurable. With regards to visibility and engagement, I spoke with Amy and got her permission to reach out directly to the building administrators and get a shared calendar started. I think what would be great is if, I don't know if you guys use Outlook or whatever calendar is used by the school, but have the administrators put all of the evening events, the daytime events, sporting events, whatever is happening. And then if we can each commit to agreed upon number per semester at each of the schools, whether that's one event per school, per semester, that's, one a month, but I'll defer to the committee for discussion. And then we could provide updates about those events at each of our meetings when relevant. And then lastly, for two-way communication, first, I'm hoping that maybe somebody could maybe agree to meet with me outside of a meeting to establish expectations and structure of the parent community meetings, if anybody's available. I would like to then pick 4 dates, 1 per quarter, where we would meet a half an hour prior to the school committee meeting in order to commit to this goal and assign ourselves to those meetings. There can only be 2 school committee members present, so I'm happy as chair to take onus of this responsibility, leaving each other members 1 meeting, unless people would like to pair up instead. That's fine, I'm open to that. I'm proposing the first meeting in October, the first meeting in January, the first meeting in March, and the first meeting in May, with makeup dates of the second meeting if there's snow. Then these meetings can be communicated maybe through the school website, but we'll establish like the parameters so that they don't go off kilter. And the purpose of these meetings is strictly to communicate what our role is to the community, like because they want to email us things that are not necessarily in our purview and discuss things that are not necessarily our job. But it just gives a half an hour window into what we do and allows the community members opportunity to kind of discuss things with us, express concerns to us that maybe that we can then bring to Amy or Melissa or whoever and say, oh, this is our job, or this isn't our job, or these are things that you worry about in the school, and we can then bring them to a bigger platform if necessary. So those are ways in which I kind of was thinking that we could make our goals more measurable and we could be more accountable to our goals. So is anybody available to meet with me outside? Okay, thank you.
I'm interested in that for sure.
All right, perfect.
You want to meet at the gate?
Yes. Is that an invite? Summer retreat.
So I'll set up an email to kind of spitball, because these are just ideas that it's not necessarily debating on like things that are for this, they're just for idea sharing with regards to the first goal about how we can hold ourselves more accountable. Are those dates, if anybody has alternative ideas for those dates. And then with regards to the calendar sharing, if anybody is opposed, I don't know people's personal lives, but I thought maybe 3 events per school quarter would be appropriate. One at each school would be, then we could kind of hold ourselves accountable that we're getting our faces in these schools and people start to get to know us a little bit more. But if people think that is too much to handle, I understand that too. We could shrink it to 2, whatever. Again, we can kind of discuss this and then recalibrate our goals and vote on more identified, specific, measurable tasks as we finalize things. But that's just kind of what I wanted to bring to the table with regards to our goals, and that way at the end of the year we're not just kind of saying, I think we did okay.
What was wrong with this year?
I want to hold us more accountable and bring us to the next level for this upcoming school year. So I will recap this in an email so that we can maybe perhaps identify some specifics, and you guys can say whether or not you feel that these are appropriate or not, and then we can bring it to the next meeting for action perhaps. All right, that brings us next to land and trail stewardship. Oh, did anybody have questions? Are we good to move next? Okay. Okay. All right. So the land and trail stewardship representation. So there's a little back and forth about this, but so our representation on this committee was recently brought to our attention. This board was created in 2023, and our knowledge, we were unaware that this was created as a seat for the school committee or a high school student liaison representation. So we need to discuss these 2 opportunities logistically so people are familiar with this. It's a meeting on Thursdays at 7 on the 2nd Thursday of each month. They assist the Board of Selectmen with management of conservation lands and other town-owned properties under the conservation land, about 645 acres in the town. They help to maintain existing trails, create and publish maps of our conservation lands, and help to organize volunteers for cleanup events. So I thought, and I'll open it up to the committee for additional discussion, I thought it would be interesting to open this opportunity to our students as a way to introduce them to local government, service work, and volunteer opportunities. They could complete the talent bank, go through the application process, interviewing, and get the comprehensive experience to add to their resume and possible college application, if that is their next step in life. It also gives them networking opportunities and potential internship options as they meet members of our community. Either way, this is not on the agenda to be voted on tonight, but it gives us time to discuss and be thoughtful about our decision. So either we can discuss our personal representation and one of us becomes a subcommittee member, or we can discuss the opportunity for us to put it out to one of our students to complete the process. So that's my thought about it, but I'm open to the committee for their thoughts.
That's a good idea. I just wonder how you incentivize it, unless you've got somebody like, Caleb who just wants to do it.
Right.
I really like it.
It'd be a great opportunity for a student, of course. Would it count as their, they have the mandated volunteer
Community
hours?
service.
Would something like this apply for that?
I think it definitely could because it's
Yeah.
outside of the school
Right,
day.
so that can be incentivizing in and of itself. And I'm sure there are students who are interested in this kind of work, right? Like folks who love to be out on the trails might really enjoy this opportunity. So I would say put it out to the students.
Do you have any thoughts, Erin?
I think it's a great idea. I think they could maybe even, if it's a student that's interested, they could incorporate it into like scouting, if they're doing their Eagle Scout or something like that. Like they could incorporate it in that as well.
Definitely.
That's a good point because we do have some kids that participate.
Okay. So maybe you and I can meet and figure out how we present this. Like I'll email Melissa at Town Hall to let her know that's the direction we're going, and that it might take us until September to figure out how we're going to present this to the students. They'll have to go through the process. I mean, they've gone without our representation for a couple of years, so they'll have to go for a little bit longer. So just to be able to let them, and then I think it's a good opportunity for them to kind of figure out how to be comfortable speaking in front of adults and things like that. So we can figure out how we go about making the process for them. And I know we have several kids working towards their Eagle Scouts in this school, so I think that would be, so we can figure out the process and then we'll present it for action for next school committee, but I'll update that. Okay, next up, we have our 3 vacancies that we held on purpose for our open seat, which is Community Preservation Committee representative, the Curriculum Subcommittee, and Negotiations Subcommittee. So we held these 3 seats open. You're the lucky recipient of those seats. So as a school committee member, we each serve on subcommittees. And so do you have questions about those subcommittees or anything like that?
So I don't have any communication because that email does not work, so I haven't gotten anything from anybody.
Okay, so we'll have to get in touch with Tiago for that.
I sent an email to him right after I got the email from you, and I've not heard back, so it's been a month.
Okay, we'll figure that out. So we'll figure that out after.
We might be able to, if you have time, we can maybe try on one of these computers. I can give him a call and see if he can guide us through.
The first time you log in, you do have to do it from a school computer.
Yeah, we attempted last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody signed up for public comment, George?
Yes, we do. First one, Glenn King.
Okay. Mr. King.
Hello. Glenn King. I am the chair of the Community Preservation Committee. So, thank you for your participation. Just want to remind you that we exist. We don't have a lot of money to work with, and we are constrained by the Community Preservation Act, but in areas of open space and recreation, if there's something the school's looking to do, and again, we're constrained, it has to be something that the residents of Northbridge could also be involved with we can't supplant responsibilities of the town or the school. You couldn't say, we're not going to mow the lawn anymore, we'll use community preservation money. But if you were rehabbing an athletic field or something like that, and the town residents also were able to use it, it might be a way that you could utilize those monies to accomplish things that you're trying to accomplish. Totally unrelated, how much was the donation from the residents for a better Northbridge?
$176.
How much?
$176.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions for community preservation?
I actually have one. You know the old playground off of Hill Street, like set in the woods?
Yes.
Is there any way that could be used in the playground again? It's just my personal curiosity.
Well, I think the dilemma is it's landlocked. I also talked to the Conservation Committee a lot, and I think that property is landlocked, so you'd have to traipse through somebody's backyard to get to it. So don't quote me, I'm not an expert. You can ask Dave McCart, the conservation agent, but I think that's the dilemma with that piece of property.
Thank you.
I know my wife used to play there. Yes. All right, onward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Liza Bodrick?
Did I say my address here? I don't think so, right?
Yes.
I just said, okay, sorry. Liza Beaudry, 172 Shining Rock Drive. I know most of you here, but I was told at one time that I should prepare, though I speak off the cuff and never really intend to, maybe prepare ahead of time so that I don't lose my nerve, so I appreciate that. Many of you might not know, I had the honor of serving as the treasurer for residents of Northbridge, and was delighted to have the ability to contribute the balance of our committee account. Truth be told, we didn't actually have to spend any funds of that account, which is a testament to really this group and all of the residents in Northbridge for educating themselves, sinking in, and learning, and I appreciate that. I also want to express my own gratitude to this group and the other town boards for your patience in educating myself and our fellow residents, meeting with us, and fielding countless questions from myself and our other committee members. You may not know that I also had the privilege of serving as the treasurer of Northbridge Elementary School's PTA for the past 2 years. In that time, I gained invaluable insights into our public school system, not only at NES, but also throughout the other schools as a result. I look forward to continuing to learn about Northbridge Public Schools and ways for residents to improve our students' outcomes. I'm really excited about Northbridge's next chapter, and I just wanted to express that to you all publicly. Thank you.
Thank you, Liza. All right. Next up is action. We'll go one at a time. Can I get a motion to approve the appointment for Community Preservation Committee representative for Erin?
Motion to approve Community Preservation Committee representative to Erin Meager.
Second.
Okay. Heather Alden?
Yes.
Dana Booker?
Yes.
Carl Cowan?
Yes.
Pam Laporte?
Yes.
Erin Meager?
Yes.
Is approved.
Next, can I get a motion for approval for Curriculum Subcommittee representative?
I make a motion to approve the Curriculum Subcommittee representative, Erin Meager.
Oh, second.
Okay. Heather Alden?
Smaller names.
Yes.
Dana Booker?
Yes.
Carl Cowan?
Yes.
Pam Laporte?
Yes.
Erin Meager?
Yes.
Is this passed?
And last but not least, can I get a motion for Negotiation Subcommittee representative?
Go ahead.
I make a motion for Erin Meager for Negotiation Subcommittee representative.
That's what I'm most excited about.
Second.
Okay. Erin Meager?
Yes.
Pam Laporte?
Yes.
Carl Cowan?
Yes.
Dana Booker?
Yes.
Heather Alden?
Yes.
Is approved.
Staffing update?
So this is hot off the presses from a meeting this morning. I confirmed with everybody the openings that we still have. All of our building principals and Angie are actively interviewing right now for these And hopefully we'll be fully staffed when the school year starts. They've hired a lot of new teachers at NES, new staff members at NES, and we've got a lot of younger folks coming in, which is great. They've got great energy, and we've also been able to hire staff with a little more diversity this year, which we haven't always in the past. Not because we haven't tried, just because the pool was shallower. And fortunately, this year we've actually had a lot of good applicants for a lot of the positions. So I'm thinking that's hopeful for the teaching profession, but it could also be that other districts did not pass overrides or had to make cuts. And we're benefiting from that for a change and not being at the other end of it. So, yeah, I think the high school right now is probably in the most difficult position. We did have 2 of our foreign language teachers resign, long-term teachers, Scott Sponseller and Sue Tulene. So we are hiring 2 new foreign language, world language teachers. That was a tough one. Those were heart-wrenching. Both going to districts that have higher salaries, unfortunately. But amazing people, and if it doesn't work out, I told them we'll always find a spot for you here. But yeah, we're hoping with the applicants and the pool of applicants that we've gotten that we'll be able to fill these roles. Obviously, there are some that are harder than others, as always, like engineering is always a tough one. And we currently have an engineering teacher, but his background is primarily physics. And because we lost our physics teacher, he wanted to move into that position. That's his background, and he's been here already. So we are moving him to the physics. So now we have to backfill that engineering position again. So we're actively looking. We're trying to be creative about how. So hopefully we fill these roles. We also have several secretary openings. So to put that out there, if you know anybody that's interested in any of these roles, please reach out. They've been posted, but we're looking for another secretary at NES, and we will be looking for a floater secretary as well for the school year when Laura Capistran retires. But this is where we're at right now. Not vastly different than where we usually are.
Is Mr. Prario ready to fill Mr. Sponse's shoes with those field trips?
I think he's going to have to. He's getting his feet wet, so we're going to rely on him.
Okay.
I would just like to bring up that it's very cold in here tonight for the first time since I've been on this board.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
I'd like to bring a sweatshirt next time.
I don't see that on the agenda.
Full information.
Yeah, okay.
Can I get a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, Heather Alden,
Yes.
Paul Cowan,
Yes.
Ken Laporte,
Yes.
Dana Booker.
Yes.
Aaron Meager.
Yes.
We're adjourned.